Long Island medium Theresa Caputo's biggest crisis of her life. Police seize all her assets. Theresa Caputo stands on the brink of losing a lifetime of hard work and wealth. Law enforcement forces seized all his money and assets, leaving him in dire financial straits. Meanwhile, the police have taken him to the police station to investigate the incident. What charges have been brought against him, or what is the real reason behind the incident is still unclear. Theresa's fans and well-wishers are in deep anxiety and are eagerly awaiting the next chapter of what's to come. Theresa Caputo had built her life around her gift, helping people connect with their lost loved ones. She had fame, fortune, and a loyal fan base, but in the blink of an eye, everything crumbled. It started on a cold morning when police sirens echoed through her Long Island neighborhood. Officers arrived at her mansion with a warrant in hand. They stormed in, seizing her bank accounts, jewelry, and even the house she had called home for decades. The once glamorous medium, dressed in her signature high heels and bold nails, now stood helpless as her belongings were taken away. "Miss Caputo, you need to come with us," one officer said sternly. "On what charges?" she demanded, her voice shaking. The officer exchanged a glance with his colleagues. "Financial fraud and tax evasion. That's all we can say for now." Theresa's world spun. Fraud? Tax evasion? She had accountants, lawyers. How could this be happening? As she was led to the police car, reporters swarmed, cameras flashing, and fans screaming in confusion. At the station, Theresa sat in the interrogation room, her mind racing. Then, the door opened, and in walked her ex-husband, Larry Caputo, along with her estranged son, Larry Jr. "You knew about this." Theresa's voice cracked. Larry Jr. crossed his arms. "You should have been more careful, Mom." Tears welled in her eyes. Could her own family have turned against her? Then, the detective slid a thick file across the table. "Miss Caputo, we have evidence that someone within your circle has been laundering money through your business. Whether you were involved or not, the IRS isn't happy." Theresa's heart pounded. She had trusted too many people, let too many hands control her finances. But who betrayed her, and could she prove her innocence before it was too late? As days passed, the truth started to surface. Her longtime business manager, someone she had trusted like family, had embezzled millions using her name. But proving her innocence wouldn't be easy, especially when the law had already made up its mind. With her assets frozen, her reputation tarnished, and her future uncertain, Theresa faced the biggest battle of her life. Would she fight to clear her name, or would this be the end of the Long Island medium as the world knew her? The answer, for now, remained a mystery. However, Theresa Caputo had always believed that spirits had a way of making their presence known. Over the years, she had delivered countless messages from loved ones who had crossed over, bringing comfort to those left behind. But one evening, during a quiet reading in her Long Island home, she encountered a spirit unlike any other. A woman named Sarah had come to see her, tears welling up in her eyes before she even spoke. She held a small locket in her hand, its golden surface worn from years of being held too tightly. "My grandmother, Eleanor, passed away 6 months ago," Sarah whispered. "She was my everything. I just need to know she's okay." Theresa closed her eyes, focusing on the energy around her. Almost instantly, a warmth filled the room, and she saw a vision, an elderly woman with silver curls and a twinkle in her eye. She was holding a star, its glow pulsing gently in her hand. "Sarah," Theresa said, her voice softer than usual. "Your grandmother is here. She says she's your shining star." Sarah gasped, her hands trembling. "She used to call me her little star when I was a child." Theresa smiled. "She's telling me that whenever you look up at the night sky, she's there, watching over you. She says she left something special for you before she passed. Do you know what she means?" Sarah's breath hitched. "Yes," she whispered, pulling the locket open. Inside was a tiny engraving of a star and the words, "You are my light." Tears streamed down her face as she clutched the necklace to her heart. I've been wearing this since the day she left, but I never knew she had it engraved for me. Theresa felt the warmth of Eleanor's presence fade, but before she left, the spirit whispered one final message. She says to tell you, keep shining, my little star. I'll always be with you. At that moment, Sarah let out a soft, tearful laugh. That's exactly what she used to say. As Sarah left, the air in Theresa's reading room felt lighter, filled with the lingering love of a grandmother who would always be watching over her shining star. However, Samantha had always been skeptical about mediums, but grief had a way of changing people. After losing both her parents within a year, she felt an emptiness that no amount of therapy or journaling could fill. Her best friend, Lisa, insisted she visit Theresa Caputo, the famous Long Island medium. You don't have to believe, Lisa had said. Just go with an open mind. Reluctantly, Samantha agreed. When she entered Theresa's reading room, the warm atmosphere and Theresa's vibrant energy immediately put her at ease. Theresa smiled and said, "Oh, honey, they've been waiting to talk to you." Samantha's heart pounded. They? Your parents, Theresa said confidently. Your mom is showing me a heart. She's saying, tell my baby girl I never left. Tears welled up in Samantha's eyes. Her mother always called her baby girl. Theresa continued, your dad, oh boy, he's got a sense of humor. He's showing me a fishing rod and saying, tell her I finally caught the big one. Samantha gasped. Her father had spent years joking about catching a giant fish, but he never did. This was something only he would say. Theresa smiled. Your mom wants you to stop feeling guilty. She says you did everything you could. And your dad? He's saying he's proud of you, especially for taking care of the family, even when you felt like falling apart. Samantha's shoulders shook as she sobbed. She had never told anyone how much guilt she carried. As the session ended, Theresa held her hands and whispered, they're always with you, sweetheart. Walking out, Samantha felt lighter than she had in years. For the first time since losing them, she truly believed her parents were still watching over her. However, it was a regular filming day for the Impractical Jokers, but Saul, Key, Mar, and Joe had something special planned. This time, the joke wasn't on them, it was on their sisters. The four had secretly arranged for Long Island medium Theresa Caputo to give their sisters a surprise reading. Saul's sister Jenna, Mar's sister Christine, and Joe's sister Carla were invited under the pretense of a family appreciation episode. The sisters had no idea what was coming. As they sat in a beautifully decorated room, sipping coffee and chatting, the door suddenly opened. In walked Theresa Caputo with her signature big blonde hair, long nails, and radiant energy. Oh my God, no way. Jenna gasped, covering her mouth. Shut up, you guys didn't, Christine exclaimed, laughing nervously. Carla's eyes widened. Wait, is this real? Theresa Caputo is here? The jokers burst into laughter, high-fiving each other. Theresa smiled and took a seat. Ladies, your brothers thought it would be hilarious to surprise you with a reading. But honey, I don't joke when it comes to spirit. The sisters exchanged nervous glances, suddenly feeling a mix of excitement and anxiety. Theresa closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Okay, I'm feeling a strong presence here. One of you has recently lost a grandmother who loved baking. She's showing me an apron, and I smell cookies. Christine gasped. That's my grandma. She made the best chocolate chip cookies. Theresa nodded. She wants you to know she's still with you. And she says, stop burning the cookies. The room erupted into laughter as Christine covered her face. Okay, that's scary. I literally burned a batch last week. Theresa turned to Jenna. I'm getting the letter M. Does the name Michael mean anything to you? Jenna's eyes filled with tears. My dad's name was Michael. He passed away a few years ago. Theresa reached for Jenna's hand. He's showing me a blue car, like a classic car? Jenna nodded. Yes, he had a vintage Mustang. He loved that car. He's saying, keep it in the family. Don't sell it. Jenna laughed through her tears. That's crazy. We were just talking about selling it. Carla, still skeptical, crossed her arms. Okay, what about me? Theresa smirked. Oh, honey, you've got a spirit who's been trying to talk to you for a long time. Do you have an uncle who was a prankster? Carla's jaw dropped. Uncle Vinny, he was the biggest prankster ever. Theresa chuckled. Yeah, well, he says he's still messing with you. Ever lose your keys and then find them in a place you swear you didn't leave them? Carla's eyes went wide. Yes, that happens all the time. That's Vinny, he says. Gotcha. At this point, the sisters were fully convinced. Even the jokers who set up the prank were blown away by how real it all felt. Saul wiped his eyes. Okay, I gotta admit, I thought this was just gonna be funny, but this is kind of incredible. Moore nodded. Yeah, I didn't expect to get emotional. Joe grinned. Well, you know what that means. We pranked ourselves. The room burst into laughter, and as the cameras rolled, it was clear this was one of the most unforgettable Impractical Jokers moments ever. However, Theresa Caputo sat in her reading room, the warm glow of candles flickering as a nervous young woman named Emily took a seat across from her. Emily's hands trembled as she clutched a locket close to her chest. Theresa closed her eyes, inhaling deeply, allowing the spirit world to draw near. Almost instantly, a strong presence washed over her, a young man, full of regret, his energy heavy with sorrow. Emily, Theresa whispered, there's a young man here. He's saying he made a mistake, a terrible mistake. He's filled with regret. Emily gasped, her eyes brimming with tears. It's my brother Jason, she choked out. He took his own life last year. Theresa nodded, her expression soft. He wants you to know he never meant to leave you. He was lost in his pain, but the moment it happened, he wished he could take it back. He didn't realize how much love surrounded him. Emily sobbed, covering her face. I tried to help him, but he shut me out. I keep thinking, if I had just done more. No, Theresa interrupted gently. He's saying you did everything you could. He's showing me a note, but he's saying he never sent it. Emily's eyes widened. He wrote letters when he was struggling, but we never found one after he passed. Theresa took a deep breath. He's showing me a letter hidden in a book. He's saying you need to find it. It will give you the closure you need. Emily nodded rapidly, already knowing the exact book he loved. He's at peace now, Emily, Theresa said softly. He wants you to live, to stop blaming yourself. He's with you every day, guiding you, sending you little signs, a flickering light, a song on the radio, a feather on your path. Emily let out a shaky breath, her sorrow lightened just a little. Thank you, she whispered. Theresa smiled. He's the one thanking you. He loves you more than you'll ever know. As Emily left, Theresa wiped away a tear. Another soul had found its voice, another heart had begun to heal. Hello, lovely viewer. Hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel.